There's a box in my closet I haven't opened in 5 years. Concert tickets, letters from old friends, photos from a life that feels like it belonged to someone else, clothes I used to wear when I was different. I know I should go through it. I know most of it should go. But every time I reach for it, my hand pulls back. It's not that I need what's in there. I haven't needed it in 5 years. It's something else, something nobody warned me about. It's grief. And here's what nobody tells you about decluttering. It's not about bins and labels and pretty organising systems. It's not about finding the right method or the perfect weekend to tackle it. It's about mourning. Mourning who you used to be. Letting go of who you thought you'd become. Accepting who you actually are. Until you understand that, decluttering will never work. You'll keep trying and failing and wondering what's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You're just trying to organise your way through something that requires grieving first. The first time I tried to go through that box, I lasted maybe 20 minutes. I'd read the books, watch the videos. I knew the method. Does it spark joy? Do you use it? Let it go. Simple, right? I set aside a Saturday morning, put on music, pulled everything out, and then I froze. I'd pick something up, hold it, put it back, pick up something else, put it back. For hours, I moved things around without actually letting anything go. By the end of the day, everything was back in the box, nothing had changed. Except now, I felt like a failure. What I didn't understand was that I wasn't looking at objects. I was looking at evidence of a life I no longer lived, and I wasn't ready to accept that life was over. This is denial, the first stage, where you tell yourself it's just a matter of finding the right weekend, the right system, the right mood, where you believe that the only thing standing between you and a decluttered space is motivation. But motivation isn't the problem, acceptance is the problem. Here's what most people don't understand. Every object you keep represents something beyond the object itself. That dress isn't just fabric. It's who you were when you wore it, the confidence you felt, the body you had, the life you lived. Those books on your shelf aren't just paper. They're the person you thought you'd become, the intellectual life you imagined, the version of yourself who has time to read. That equipment in your garage isn't just metal and plastic, it's a dream, a possibility, a door you're not ready to close. When you try to let these things go, you're not just clearing space, you're closing chapters, admitting things are over, accepting losses, and that's why it's so hard. Your logical brain says it's just stuff, just get rid of it. But your emotional brain says, wait, if I let this go, I'm giving up. I'm admitting defeat, I'm accepting something I don't want to be true, so the stuff stays, and you stay stuck. I tried again a year later. This time I made it further. I actually filled 2 bags, took them to the garage, then went back inside and pulled half of it back out. Maybe if I just keep the favourites, I told myself. Maybe if I organise it better. Maybe if things change, I'll need these. Maybe if I give myself more time. This is bargaining, where you negotiate with reality, where you tell yourself that change is temporary, that you might need these things again, that keeping them is just being practical. But bargaining is just another form of not accepting. It's saying, yes, things have changed, but maybe they'll change back. Maybe this isn't permanent. Maybe I can have it both ways. You can't. Reality doesn't negotiate. And as long as you're bargaining, you're not ready to let go. I see this everywhere now, in closets full of clothes that might fit again someday, in garages full of equipment for hobbies that are always on pause, in storage units full of furniture for lives people are no longer living. We're all negotiating with time, trying to keep doors open that closed years ago, hedging our bets against a future that looks like the past. But the past doesn't come back, and keeping physical evidence of it doesn't change that. The third time I tried, I got angry. Someone said something offhand about my clutter, something that shouldn't have bothered me, something that was probably meant to be helpful, and I snapped. You don't understand. This stuff is important to me. This is who I am. But it wasn't, was it? I hadn't touched any of it in years. It wasn't who I was. It was who I used to be, or who I thought I'd become. And admitting that made me furious at myself, at life, at the way things turned out, at the fact that dreams don't always work out no matter how much you want them to. This is anger, where you rage against the loss, where you want to blame something, someone, anything for why things didn't go the way you planned. The anger isn't really about the stuff. It's about what the stuff represents. All the ways life didn't match your expectations. All the versions of yourself you never got to become. And you can't organise your way past anger. You have to feel it, acknowledge it, let it burn through you. Because underneath the anger is the real grief, the sadness you've been avoiding, the loss you haven't wanted to face. Here's what happens when you try to declutter before you're ready. You hit a wall, you can't make decisions, you feel overwhelmed, you give up, you feel like a failure, but you're not failing, you're just not ready yet. You haven't done the emotional work that has to come first, because decluttering isn't the first step, grieving is the first step. You have to mourn what's gone before you can let go of the evidence. I learned this the hard way. Years of failed attempts, years of feeling like something was wrong with me, years of clutter that made me feel suffocated in my own home, until I finally understood what I was really holding on to. Not things, losses, unprocessed grief disguised as stuff I might need someday. The breakthrough came when I hit bottom. I was having a bad day, a bad week really. Everything felt heavy. And I walked past that closet, that box, and something inside me just broke. I sat on the floor, and I cried. Not just tears, full body sobs, for the life I didn't get to live, for the person I thought I'd become, for all the futures that never happened. This is depression, the stage where you stop fighting, where you feel the full weight of the loss without any defences left. Our culture tells us to avoid this stage, to power through, to think positive, to not wallow. But depression in the grief process isn't wallowing. It's not the end. It's actually a sign you're getting close. It means you've stopped denying, stopped bargaining, stopped raging. You're finally feeling it. And once you feel it, really feel it, you can start to move through it. I sat there for a long time, holding things, remembering, letting myself be sad about what was and what wasn't and what would never be. And then, slowly, something shifted. A few days later, I went back to that box, but this time was different. I wasn't trying to be efficient. I wasn't trying to just power through. I'd given myself permission to grieve, really grieve. And from that place, I could breathe. I could think clearly. I could make decisions. This was beautiful. I'm grateful I had it. And it's over now. That's sad. And it's also okay. I can let go, item after item. Not with resentment, not with shame, but with something like peace. I kept 3 things: a photo, a letter, one object that genuinely still meant something beyond what it represented. Everything else, gone. And when I opened my closet the next morning, I could breathe. Everything in it belonged to my life now. I could move forward without grief. This is acceptance, not happiness, not excitement, just peace with what is, the ability to let the past be the past, and only then could I let go. Here's what's on the other side of grief: space, clarity, peace. Not just physical space, though that matters, but mental space, emotional space, the ability to be present in your actual life instead of haunted by the lives you didn't live. I feel lighter now, like I've been carrying something heavy for years and finally set it down. My home feels different, not just cleaner, but honest. Everything in it reflects who I actually am, not who I thought I'd be. That's what happens when you actually do the grief work, when you stop trying to organise your way around it and instead move through it. You don't just get a clean closet or an empty room. You get your life back, your energy back, your ability to be present. But here's why this is so hard. Our culture doesn't prepare us for this emotional work. We're taught that decluttering is about discipline, about systems, about just doing it, about not being lazy. Nobody tells you it's grief work. Nobody says you might need to cry before you can let go. Nobody warns you that holding on to stuff is often holding on to denial. We're also taught that moving on means you didn't care, that letting go means giving up, that holding on to things is how you honour what mattered. But that's backward. Holding on to everything out of guilt or fear doesn't honour anything. It just creates clutter. Real honouring is choosing carefully, keeping what truly matters, letting the rest go with gratitude. And real acceptance isn't giving up. It's making peace with what is so you can stop fighting what was. So if you've been struggling to declutter, if you've tried 100 times and failed, listen to me. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you don't need a better system, you're grieving. And you haven't been given permission to do that work. So here's your permission. You're allowed to be sad about what's changed, about what's gone, about who you're not, about dreams that didn't work out. You don't have to just get over it. You don't have to power through. You're allowed to feel the loss. Ask yourself, what am I really holding on to? What loss am I avoiding by keeping this stuff? What would letting go mean that I'm not ready to accept? And then give yourself time. Give yourself space. Give yourself permission to grieve before you try to let go. Sit with the things that represent what's gone and feel the sadness. Hold the objects from abandoned dreams and mourn what didn't work out. Look at the evidence of ended chapters and accept they're really over. Feel it. Cry if you need to. Get angry if you need to. Let yourself be sad. Don't rush it. Don't tell yourself you're being dramatic. The loss is real. The grief is real. And when you're ready, when you've moved through denial and anger and bargaining and depression, when you've finally reached some version of acceptance, then you can let go. Not because you should, not because someone's telling you to, but because you've made peace with the loss. You've honoured what was. You're ready for what is. Decluttering isn't about stuff. It's about time, about accepting which version of your life you're actually living. The past is gone. The future you imagined didn't happen. You're here now. This version of you, this body, this life. And you can keep holding on to physical reminders of what was and what might have been. Or you can grieve. Really grieve. Feel it all. Honour the loss. Thank the past. Acknowledge the future that didn't come. And then let go. Make space for what actually is. For who you actually are. Not who you were. Not who you thought you'd be. Who you are right now. Your clutter isn't a failure. It's unprocessed grief. And once you understand that, everything changes. You don't need to get organised, you need to grieve. And then, on the other side of that grief, the letting go becomes possible. Not easy, but possible. Finally, blessedly possible.